Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including the new reason why you should buy now, Tesla's new cheaper vehicle spotted once again, the Cybertruck flopping, and more, so let's get into it. And a special thanks to Saily for sponsoring this video. First up today, Tesla a few days ago reported their Q2 delivery numbers, and overall things were about as expected for analyst expectations going into this quarter, but it still was about a 13% drop in sales year over year. Tesla said in the second quarter we produced over 410,000 vehicles, delivered over 384,000 vehicles, and deployed 9.6 gigawatt hours of energy storage products. As far as production, they were at about 396,000 Model 3s and Ys, and then 13,409 of other models, but for deliveries, they only delivered about 10,394 of other models, which includes the Model S, Model X, and Cybertruck, and then they delivered about 373,728 of the Model Y and 3 globally. Again, this is quite different than what it looked like a year ago, where production was at 410,000 total and deliveries were at 444,000. So we're not seeing a massive recovery here from what we saw in Q1, but we are seeing things in line with what analysts expected. As a matter of fact, this actually beat the expectations of a few Tesla-specific analysts that usually get their estimations pretty accurate. These analysts were expecting about 356,000 and 345,000 deliveries from Tesla, so they did beat that. Now, when we look at the US specifically, EVs sold for Q2 of 2025, Tesla sold about 151,000, which again, for the US specifically, is about a 9% drop year over year. GM is starting to climb up in the ranks here at 46,000 delivered, because that's a 111% growth year over year. Ford sold about 16,000 vehicles, and they dropped 31% year over year. Some people are very quick to point out that part of the reason that GM is doing so well here and growing their numbers of EV sales year over year is because they have the Equinox out, which is a more affordable vehicle that actually can start at about $35,000. This has been Tesla's goal for a long time, but we've never actually seen it come to fruition. Hopefully we will soon, and we'll talk about that specific vehicle being spotted in just a minute. One specific piece of these delivery numbers that is interesting though is the Cybertruck. Tesla bundles the Cybertruck with the Model S and X, and we could expect that if it was doing really well and selling in much greater numbers than those cars, they would unbundle it from those cars. But they're reporting these all together so that they don't really have to break it down. In either case, they only sold a little over 10,000 of all three of these vehicles, which is not looking good for the Cybertruck. When you look at the last few quarters, this is a pretty big decrease for all of these cars overall, and we kind of expected that maybe the Cybertruck would actually help grow this number, but it has not been doing so. In fact, it seems that based on sales estimates, Tesla is selling about 5,000 Cybertruck units each quarter, which is around 10% of what they expected to get their production capacity up to for the Cybertruck. They talked about being able to produce about 250,000 Cybertrucks annually, and that's probably something they could still do if the demand was there for this car, but it just really is not. And overall, I think it's pretty clear at this point. It's a pricing problem. Yes, the design is that crazy Cybertruck design, and plenty of people don't really want to go for that. But at the end of the day, this car was supposed to be very popular with its design, but it was also supposed to come in at about half the price that it comes in at today. Really, when we look at Tesla's delivery reports for the last few years, it's very clear that they have their popular Model 3 and Y because they're a more accessible price, and then they have their more expensive niche vehicles, the Model S and X. But the Cybertruck, when it was announced, was supposed to be one of those vehicles, like the Model 3 and Y. It was supposed to start at $40,000 and deliver a lot of great features. Instead, it delivers a lot of great features, but it's in line with those more expensive cars. In fact, if you want to get the cheapest version of this car, it comes with a number of downgrades that really take it out of the class of vehicles like the Model S and X. They get rid of the rear screen, it has textile seats, it doesn't have that powered tonneau cover, it doesn't have power share, and more things like that. So this car was supposed to be $30,000 cheaper than it costs today. Yes, it came with a bunch of improvements and a lot of very cool technology, but at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter when you're looking at scale, because they needed to get the price lower. I still hope that they can do this in time, but for now, it seems like the Cybertruck is going to end up being a pretty niche vehicle for Tesla, and something that didn't really help them grow vehicle numbers overall, at least at this point. But what are your thoughts on the Cybertruck? Many are curious to see what they'll go for in the future here, because that Giga Texas factory was in part built so that they could build the Cybertruck there. And they've ramped up a lot of amazing assembly lines for the Cybertruck that they don't really seem to be utilizing at full capacity or anywhere close. So some people think that Tesla needs to shut down the Cybertruck program. Some people think that it can just continue living as this niche, maybe flagship vehicle for them. And then others will think maybe it still actually has a chance to grow in sales down the line when prices can can come down, or maybe it will just get more popular even at its current price when more people are aware of the technology it delivers. For me personally, I think they could sell quite a bit more if they were able to drop the price and increase the range. But what are your thoughts? Leave a comment below to let me know. Now, we just wrapped up a quarter for Tesla, so a lot of their sales incentives have now disappeared. A lot of things like APR incentives, leasing incentives, and more have expired, but we do expect that some of these will probably come back soon because they need to drive sales. However, the first thing that they have now introduced is a specific 4th of July promo. Tesla has now made red, white, and blue paint color options free on all new Model Ys, Model 3s, Model Ss, and Model Xs ordered in the US. This particular incentive ends on July 14th, and it can bring a savings of up to $2,500, depending on which paint you're getting here. If you were already planning to get the red paint, and now this promotion is in place, it may be worth taking advantage of. But one very big change that just happened in the United States that will very much impact Tesla's sales in the coming quarters is the removal of the EV tax credit. The president's big, beautiful bill officially passed in the United States. It will be signed into law in the coming days, and there are a lot of impacts that this bill has on EVs, renewable energy, and more. Sawyer Merritt did a great breakdown on X, and the first thing is that the $7,500 EV tax credit for new vehicles ends on September 30th of this year. Previously, we expected this to be in play through the end of December, but now it's ending on September 30th. So it's July, we have August, we have September, and then after that, that $7,500 discount from the federal government is no longer going to be in place. For this reason alone, it's kind of an incentive to buy now. If you were considering buying a Tesla and you qualify for this credit, it's probably a great time to buy. In time, Tesla probably will need to make up a little bit of this difference here, but it seems that come October 1st, their cars are going to be that much more expensive. Their prices will probably remain about the same, but then customers will no longer be able to get this credit, and that will definitely harm their sales for Q4 of this year specifically. On top of that, they're also removing the $4,000 used EV credit, so it's another reason that if you qualify for that and you were looking to buy a used EV, you should probably do it before September 30th. Regarding EV fees, there had been a floated $250 annual EV fee, but that is not a part of this bill. And then solar credits are also disappearing come the end of December. This bill officially eliminates the 30% tax credit for rooftop solar. Now, many customers take advantage of that EV tax credit on the consumer level, but there has also been a qualified commercial clean vehicle credit as well, where businesses that buy electric cars or trucks can also get a credit. That credit is officially ending on September 30th as well. One interesting piece of this bill that will actually help is with financing cars. A lot of people finance their car purchases, and that comes with an interest rate that is not deductible. But now car loans from 2025 through 2028 will be able to be deducted. Interest paid on loans for purchasing a personal vehicle will no longer be considered personal interest and can be deducted. There is some criteria there, including final assembly occurring in the United States, a weight under 14,000 pounds and more. But overall, it seems that this could actually help out certain buyers, but in no way is this going to make up the difference for that $7,500 tax credit. Before we go any further, I want to take a minute to talk about today's sponsor, Saily. I'm a musician and I travel internationally a lot for work. Using my phone abroad and managing international phone services is a hassle, which is where Saily comes in. Saily is a digital SIM card app that offers all the benefits of getting a new SIM without having to actually swap out a physical card. The service is easy to use. You just choose a data plan, install it on your phone, and then you're all set. The one-time installation instantly works for over 200 destinations around the globe, meaning you don't have to swap cards along the way. You can save money by avoiding roaming fees abroad, get global or regional plans if you are visiting multiple countries, and have an added layer of security by avoiding scammers that sell fake SIM cards. Saily is compatible with iOS and Android devices, and then for any issues, they offer 24/7 support and a full refund if it doesn't work for you. To get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans, use code RyanShaw at checkout. Download the Saily app or go to saily.com/RyanShaw, linked in the description below. There is a lot of change coming up for Tesla, and it seems like we'll probably see an increase of demand in the immediate. Again, we have about 3 months here, so Tesla is probably sitting on some inventory due to the surplus of production they had in this past quarter, and they'll probably try to drive a lot of that to customers by talking about this expiring tax credit. So it will create this interesting situation where it's probably a great time to buy, and then you may have longer wait times for a Tesla vehicle as a result of a lot of people trying to take advantage of this before it disappears. Then it will be very interesting to see what happens come Q4. Ultimately, this will have a huge impact on Tesla and the entire EV market in the United States. But my hope is that long-term, cheaper cars can come to be that don't really rely on a credit like this. And one of those is expected to come from Tesla soon and was recently spotted out in the wild. We've seen multiple sightings of covered-up versions of the Model Y at Tesla's factory, but this one is particularly interesting. This seems likely to be a shorter version of the Model Y, or some sort of more affordable car, and it was spotted at Tesla's Fremont factory. People keep focusing on a number of things here. For one, this appears to be shorter. The front end actually does look shorter, and it could just be the angle, but it seems likely in this particular case. And then for two, this actually doesn't have a glass roof. It has a black roof that makes it look a lot like Tesla's other vehicles, but it is not a glass roof, which is probably something that would help them bring down cost in the future. Now, many people are expecting that this cheaper Model Y will probably be just like the Cybertruck's cheaper version, the long-range rear-wheel drive version. That got textile seats, removed some premium features and more, so maybe that is the first version of the Model Y we'll see. That seems likely so that they can have a cheaper trim of that exact car that they're very scaled up on making. But a smaller vehicle would be something that would do quite well for Tesla. Just decrease the size a little bit so it's not as much car and it can drive efficiently on a smaller battery pack. In this particular analysis, this person thinks that this new version of the Model Y could come in about 10 to 15 centimeters shorter than a normal Model Y. But it seems that it very much does have the same wheelbase, which makes a lot of sense. Either way, Tesla does have something new coming here. It's really just a question of what this is. A lot of people are convinced because of rumors that this is a smaller version of the Model Y, and they'll take any photo of this car and try to prove that it is indeed smaller. However, it's really impossible to tell unless we truly see them side by side. People have tried to spot them side by side, but then we end up realizing it's just a Model X next to a Model 3 or something like that. But we do know that something cheaper will be coming from Tesla. They originally said that they would be producing these cars within the first half of 2025, so they could already be in some sort of production, but they haven't actually announced them yet. I do expect that they could come soon, or maybe they're now having to balance timing for when this tax credit disappears. If these new cheaper vehicles come out and they qualify for the tax credit, it could cause a lot of people to go for that car, which will actually probably take some time to ramp up. And they probably can't make too many of them within the next 3 months before that tax credit disappears. So what they probably want to do instead is drive people to their more expensive cars to take advantage of that deal before it disappears, before even telling us about this cheaper vehicle. So for that reason, I wouldn't actually be surprised if we don't see this car come to be for another couple months, but we'll have to wait and see. Everything is always in flux at Tesla, and this tax credit situation does change a lot for them. I'm sure they're doing a ton of strategizing over there at the moment. But what do you think? Do you think we'll see a cheaper version of the Model Y come soon, and will it be smaller? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. In the meantime, what Tesla is always working on is their Robotaxi network. We've seen the initial beta launch of this over in Austin, Texas, and more people, including locals, keep getting invites to try out this network. But it's very interesting to see how Tesla is working on improving this. Nick Cruz-Patain posted saying, "Tesla is out in full force tonight validating parts of downtown Austin. They're getting ready to expand. They have a fleet of vehicles running up and down the South Congress Bridge. This is exciting." To me, this video is actually very fascinating to see. It's a whole fleet of Model Ys, including old ones and new ones, with different levels of LiDAR equipment attached to them. They're driving down, some in the same exact line, and then there's even a Cybertruck with this equipment on top of it as well. Ultimately, Tesla wants every car that they make to be able to be a robotaxi, including the Cybertruck, so it makes sense that they do have to do this testing. But it also raises a lot of questions as to what is required for Tesla's advanced testing in an area where they want to deploy the robotaxi. Ultimately, they've communicated that this can drive anywhere, and that's really the difference. They don't have to do HD mapping of an area ahead of time, and they won't have to be in geofenced areas only. However, for right now, they're of course operating in geofenced areas. But here's another video posted by Joe Tegmeyer of more Tesla mapping going on in Austin, Texas. He said, quote, "This was headed north on Congress towards the Capitol building." Again, these are two of the latest Model Ys side by side with very much LiDAR equipment, and it seems potentially even mapping equipment on top. So could this be a sign of Tesla expanding soon in Austin? Maybe they're going to be able to open up their geofence more very soon here because they're doing this mapping. At the same time, they could be optimizing and learning from the robotaxi rides that have already been occurring. But it does raise the question as to what is actually required for Tesla. Are they going to be required to do this kind of testing in every single area that they want to deploy the robotaxi in? Maybe that will be required to a degree at launch in each market. And that seems like something that would slow them down quite a bit and be a little bit closer to someone like Waymo's approach, when theirs is supposed to be so much different. But at the end of the day, we really don't know what exactly is going on here. It could be optimized learning, it could be mapping, it could be anything in between. Either way, I hope that Tesla will be expanding this network quite soon. Next up today, one big feature that could be coming to Tesla vehicles soon is Grok integration. Now, Grok is xAI's LLM chatbot and voice assistant, and it's very capable and sometimes can be totally on par with all the competitors out there like Gemini and ChatGPT. But Tesla hacker @GreenTheOnly decided to dive into Tesla software and look at what's going on with the Grok integration here. We can see that this very much is coming soon because there are a lot of pieces here. He said Grok currently requires premium connectivity and pairs into your existing account. In this first image, we can see that there is actually a Grok icon as one of the apps in a Tesla vehicle. Here we can see it requiring premium connectivity, and then in the next image, you can scan the QR code with your device and log in to your Grok account. Under Grok settings, there are familiar settings if you've used this before. There's an NSFW mode as well as a kids mode. And then here's what the dialogue looks like, at least currently, when you're chatting with the assistant. You can choose different assistants here and then choose that it is in fact an assistant. And then the first one that's selected is Ara, an upbeat female voice. You can also choose from Rex, a calm male voice, and Gork, which is a lazy male voice. For now, it seems like those are the only three, and those are the three that are available on the Grok app itself. Here we can see that it's a general assistant, but you can also do things like a language tutor, a therapist, a storyteller, kids story time, kids trivia game, meditation, Grok doc, unhinged, sexy, motivation, conspiracy, romantic, and augmentation. So overall, there's not much to see here because this really just is appearing to be a full Grok integration. If you've used the Grok app and used the voice assistant, that's going to be built into Tesla vehicles soon here, which is quite cool to see. I think it probably brings a lot more than people are expecting, and maybe they even want to have in their car, but it should do some pretty cool things for everyone at first. Things that control your vehicle and understand it with natural language. Of course, a Grok integration is the latest way that Elon Musk is connecting his companies together, but it makes a lot of sense that they're going to go with that as opposed to partnering with another AI company like OpenAI. In general, I'm curious to see where this goes. For now, it may just be kind of an app for entertainment purposes that you can use while you're driving to get various information. But soon, I think we would see it actually integrated with Tesla vehicles to kind of replace the built-in voice commands. Those built-in voice commands can work with normal connectivity, but for premium connectivity, you could pay that extra fee that most people do and get a really great voice assistant that truly understands how you're laying things out without having to speak it the right way necessarily. These AI assistants and LLMs are always improving with leaps and bounds in each new version, so I'm curious which version we'll see come to Tesla vehicles soon. It does, of course, raise a lot of questions for privacy and more, but this really is the future we're going into, and Tesla will be integrating it quite soon. What I'd actually love to see is Grok integrating with the full self-driving package. FSD operates incredibly well, but you can't really change anything about it. And I'd love to be able to tell it, hey, see that turn you just did right there? I didn't actually prefer that for this reason. And then it could learn. Or I'd love to be able to say, hey, you can get in the HOV lane, but you can't actually get in the fast track lane because that costs extra. Still, a lot of times in my car, when I'm in certain areas like Orange County, it will always try to get me over there no matter what, even when I turn off HOV lanes, so I just have to exit full self-driving. These are the kind of things I'd love to be able to optimize if the two of those could talk together, but we'll see if that ever comes. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see a detailed breakdown of all the Teslas that have been hacked, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.